Hi, Tony here from PPA, Property Professionals Australia, keeping it real for you guys again. Today I'm going to talk about something crucial to successful investment, and that's timing and time in the market, as most Australians get this wrong. And I want to show you the difference between doing it right, like an A-grader investor would, and what predominantly the majority of Australians C-grade investors do wrong. All right? So I'm going to start, and this is a 20-year plan. So if you were investing today, 2018, right? Most Australians, I'll show you what they do. In the time cycle, they're investing towards the top, where everyone's got a good story. They invest there because of social proof. You know, the media's pumping it up, their friends and colleagues, people they work with are saying they know a good story about that area. Investing in, say, Sydney or Melbourne today where it's too late would be a good example for you, where they think they're going to get the same capital growth as these people with a good story that invested down here, right? And what happens though is it goes up for 12 months, it comes back down and corrects back to a neutral point, and then it goes sideways for a number of years before it goes back up again. So in that 5 to even 7 years it could be, they actually don't realise virtually any growth potential. And to show you what that looks like on a graph where we look at, you know, the numbers closer, the first 5 years they invested, no growth, zero. Second 5 years they went through a cycle, if they're lucky, an upward swing cycle, and they achieved almost double, $400,000 capital growth. Fantastic. But that's in a 9 to 10 year period. Could even be 15 years, right? So what's that look like? You got $850,000 in value when we look at the 450 purchase plus another 400K. If you were to sell that at that point in time, minus your loan, minus your capital gains tax, you'd be left with around about 300K in profit. Now, I'm not an accountant, so these are close approximation, but that's 300K. Okay, not too bad, but it's not great. Look what an A-grade investor can achieve in the same time period. They invest towards the bottom of the cycle, right? Once they've done their research and due diligence and know the numbers are starting to change, employment opportunities are going up, unemployment rates are coming down, huge infrastructure projects are driving employment, driving population growth. There's a lot of demographics working in your favour. They get in where most people aren't game enough till they get that social proof. They get in at the bottom, and in that 4 to 5 year time period, if we look at it, they've got exponential capital growth. So this property may have doubled in that time. That'd be 900. Then it goes through that flat cycle like the people, the C-grade investors, and no growth. Then they get the growth again, like the C-grade investors, so now they've got double the growth in the same time period, and then no growth again. So that, when you started at 450 plus your 450 plus your 450, roughly 1.3 million. A little bit more than that, but we're bringing it down to be conservative. So 1.3 million in that time period, these people got 300K. Okay, oh sorry, not 300K, 400K, before we took into account the loan and capital gains tax. But what's really important is not only they made more out of that first one, but look what they were able to do. Because of that capital growth, in that time period, they were able to duplicate into another property out of that equity gain that they got for the first property and buy again in that same time period. And again, buy at the right time, get the upswing, get that maximum 5 year period, 4 to 5 years of growth, right? So they enable them to have a 400K roughly equity growth in that period, and then it flattens off again, right? Where the C-grade investors purchase before it goes up again, and they get another 400K. And this is just easy math, keeping it simple, saying it almost doubled in that 5 years equity growth, because property over 10 years might double, or 12 years, but it really gets all that acceleration, all that capital growth in a small part of the cycle. generally 3 to 4 or 5 years, like Sydney's done in the last 4 years as an example, okay, before it started correcting, which it's doing now. So these people got 2 growth cycles, again, in that same period. So another $1.3 million, conservatively speaking, that property value is worth, right? Considering they paid $450 to start with. That's $2.6 million they've got in that same time period that the C-grade investors got $400,000. That's the $450 plus the $400 capital growth, right? $2.6 million, massive difference by being smart, getting in at the right time and holding that property. Then if we do what we did up here with the C-grade investors and take away the loan amount, $950, looking at if we're in a position of selling the property and realising our returns, $1.65 million profit at that point. But then we have to pay down capital gains tax, just like we did up here. And like I said, I'm not an accountant, these are rough figures. So that might be around about $412,000, right? If we take that away from the 1.6, you're left with 1.238 million profit. In the same time period, these A-grade investors were able to achieve 1.238 million in profit, as opposed to the C-grade investor, 300,000. Massive difference, guys, if you understand the fundamentals of this and get it right. You can get huge returns, and in a 20-year plan, you really only need 2 properties for a lot of people to set themselves up for retirement years. All right, because the Australian Financial Services Association says that the average Australian needs somewhere around 1.2, 1.4 million to be comfortable in retirement. And given you can achieve this from 2 properties out of property investment done correctly, and then you've got super on top, you're set. So it's just a simple strategy. If you do it correctly, you can really achieve and accelerate your wealth building potential. Thanks for listening. I want to point out that if any of you want to take advantage of a property strategy session, we offer complimentary strategy sessions for all of you that are listening to us today to show you more about how this works in detail, show you how this works on a plan of even more properties over a longer period of time, depending on what it is you need and what your desired outcome is and the amount of years you've got to achieve that. We can show you how it works, not only this way, but through a program we've developed and designed ourselves. All right, thanks for listening. Tony from PPA, keeping it real again. Thank you.